The Crown Prince of Dubai thanks the nation's brave heroes at the front line for redefining the meaning of service and sacrifice. New analysis reveals that UAE residents trust the government and preventative measures to curb the spread of COVID-19. In the business tonight, new UAE Central Bank report projects the recovery of economic activity in the second half of the year. And in sport, UFC 251 will take place next month in the capital in the first of 4 planned UFC events in July. The Dubai Crown Prince His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum today posted a video on his official Twitter account thanking the nation's brave heroes at the front line. There are now over 7.2 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 around the world. That's according to Johns Hopkins University, who say the number of deaths has now passed 411,000. The U.S. now has close to 2 million people infected and over 112,000 deaths. In second place, Brazil has 32,000 more cases than yesterday, reaching 739,000 and over 38,000 deaths. In Russia, the total number of cases has now passed 493,000 with over 6,000 deaths. Meanwhile, infections in the UK have now reached 290,000 with close to 41,000 deaths. And India's infection rate continues to rise with over 276,000 confirmed cases and close to 7,800 deaths. The UAE has the potential to be the most prepared nation for the post-COVID-19 era. That's according to the Minister of State for Advanced Sciences, Sara Al-Amiri. While chairing a meeting of the UAE Council for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Al-Amiri said that the Council fully supports the government's efforts to overcome the challenges caused by COVID-19 in a way that will reinforce the UAE's readiness for the future through adopting technologies and harnessing technological innovation to drive sustainable development. Recent examples of initiatives launched by the Ministry of Health and Prevention include the virtual doctor chatbot, which allows the public to check their symptoms, and the Trace COVID app, which tracks those who have been in contact with COVID-19 patients. According to a new web tool that analyzes Twitter data, UAE residents trust the government here and all the preventative measures taken by authorities across the country to curb the spread of the COVID-19. The tool that was created by Khalifa University of Science and Technology helps assess people's perception of the crisis and understands their emotions towards government actions. Officials say the study shows that in early January, panic behavior was noticed in both Arabic and English tweets revolving around COVID-19. However, since January end, there was a greater spread of positivity and hopeful sentiment, which also increased over time. To Al Ain now, and Tawam Hospital has announced the launch of 2 mobile COVID-19 screening clinics for people that show symptoms of the disease. The first clinic is based opposite Al Jimmy Mall and is open for testing every day from midday to 7 p.m. The second clinic is located in Al Ain's Healy Industrial Zone and is open between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. The screening procedure includes measuring body temperature, examining patients for any symptoms, and taking a swab sample. Test results will be made available within 48 hours. To the capital now, and last night Abu Dhabi started phase 7 of its sanitization program and COVID-19 testing in Musaffah. Residents of Block 42 and 43 are requested to cooperate and follow instructions in order for the initiative to achieve its objectives. The campaign follows Abu Dhabi government's decision to restrict movement in and out of the Emirate as of June 2nd. The one-week program has since been extended for another 7 days. Passengers flying out of Abu Dhabi airport are being advised to arrive 4 hours before their departure, just so that they are not affected by the movement restrictions in the capital. A video was also posted explaining all the requirements as well as preventive measures that are in place at the airport. Only passengers with confirmed tickets will only be allowed to enter the terminal. Travelers are also being urged to use online check-in to reduce interaction with ground staff and maintain social distancing at all times. And of course, face masks and disposable gloves are also compulsory. Thermal scanning will also take place, and if the passenger's destination requires a blood test, then that too will be carried out directly in the check-in area. Dubai courts has remained very busy during the remote working period. The court heard 11,500 cases and processed 95,000 applications through its smart app. But now, with the courts physically receiving customers, they have implemented strict precautionary measures to ensure the safety of individuals. Sharjah Environment and Protected Areas Authority registered 15 violations as a result of damages caused to plant life in the wilderness during the first quarter of this year. The authority says the damages were caused by soil leveling work and cutting of perennial and non-perennial trees. Violators were subjected to a fine of 10,000 dirhams. Officials say conserving plants is extremely important, and the authority is doing everything it can to protect them from further damage. Abu Dhabi University has been ranked among the top 750 universities in the world for the third year in a row. The university recorded an increase of 15% in academic reputation. It also improved at a similar rate in faculty-student ratio and citations per faculty, with each indicator reflecting a growth of 17%. Officials say over the last couple of years, the university has embarked on many initiatives to enhance its standing in the region. We'll have to pause now for a short break, but also up next is today's business. The UAE Central Bank has projected the recovery of economic activity in the second half of the year. Stay with Emirates News. Welcome back to Emirates News. Our top story tonight. The Crown Prince of Dubai today posted a video on his official Twitter account thanking the nation's brave heroes at the front line. Sheikh Hamdan wrote, "In our desperate times, you rose to the challenge. Armed with your selflessness, you've defined and redefined the meaning of service and sacrifice." The UAE Central Bank has projected the recovery of economic activity in the second half of the year. In its quarterly economic review, the bank stressed that its targeted economic support scheme and the economic stimulus packages announced by both local and federal governments are likely to weigh in positively on the PMI, real estate prices, employment and credit growth. The report also showed that jobs in the private sector reached 5.1 million, with 64,000 new positions added in the first 3 months of this year. Staying with the central bank report, and outward personal remittances during the first quarter of this year increased by 7.8% to 41.4 billion dirhams. The 1.4 billion dirhams worth of remittances were sent through banks. That's an increase of 16.9%. Meanwhile, exchange houses registered an increase of 5.4% with an extra 1.6 billion. The figures provide evidence that the COVID-19 outbreak did not affect the volume of personal funds transferred by expats and UAE citizens. The top 5 destination countries for outward personal remittances during January-March were India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Egypt, and the USA. Most UAE residents are signed up to at least one form of financial service in the country. That's according to a new survey conducted by the UAE Central Bank. The findings show that 85% of adults aged 15 years and above are users of at least one formal financial service, while 15% are financially excluded. Officials say the aim of the survey is to design and implement a comprehensive strategy to increase the degree of financial inclusion in the UAE. 2019 saw the UAE's non-oil trade grow nearly 4.5% when compared to the previous year. The Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Authority has revealed data on the improved trade, which was led by the export and re-export trade indices. The 4.4% increase on 2018 amounted to 457 million dirhams of non-oil trade, which accounts for 28.5% of total foreign trade. A new study shows that this year, global gas demand is set to fall by twice the amount that was lost after the 2008 financial crisis. A combination of the COVID-19 pandemic and a very mild winter in the Northern Hemisphere has put global demand for natural gas on course for its largest annual decline in history. The International Energy Agency study showed that as of early June, all major gas markets worldwide are experiencing falls in demand and growth. Europe, North America, and Asia forecast to see the biggest drops in gas demand by the end of this year. The Emirates Publishers Association has announced the launch of a 1 million dirham emergency fund to support a host of publishers in the UAE whose businesses have been severely impacted by the pandemic. In a statement, it said, "Today we stand with our publishers to support and lead them onward to fulfilling vital projects that will boost our knowledge and creativity." Officials also promised to coordinate and communicate with Emirati bookmakers and guide them on how to access the fund. Nasdaq Dubai welcomed the listing of a $200 million sukuk issued by GFH Financial Group. GFH said that the proceeds of the sukuk will be used to strengthen its balance sheet and diversify its income. It is the group's second sukuk listing on Nasdaq Dubai this year, following a $300 million listing in February. Dubai's sukuk listing by value now totals $64.5 billion. Next month, Yas Island in the capital will host UFC 251 in the first of a series of behind closed doors televised events from the world's biggest mixed martial arts brand. Announced last night, next month has been branded as UFC Fight Island, which will kick off with the pay-per-view event of UFC 251 on Saturday, the 11th of July. There will be further fight nights on the 15th, 18th, and 25th, and details of those events are yet to be announced. UFC Fight Island follows on UFC 242 last year, which was the first event of a 5-year partnership deal between the Department of Culture and Tourism and the UFC. The president of the brand announced the details of his company's Facebook page late last night.
When this whole thing went down, I was trying to figure out how we could do events. So I thought about, I started talking to different places, and Abu Dhabi was open to it. But Abu Dhabi is one of the strictest places in the world right now with the whole COVID-19 thing. So they're going to put us over at Yas Island. We're building infrastructure over there, and we have a whole plan on how this thing's going to work. And
golf and the race to Dubai is still more than a month away from resuming its season. But in the US, the PGA Tour stars are ready to get back in action this week. The world's top 5 are part of the field for the event in Texas, which will be played without spectators. Rory McIlroy, world number 1 again, will join other stars for the first official event for 3 months. The rest of the season has been planned out, but it all depends on how this tournament proceeds and if anyone and everyone is kept safe throughout the week ahead.
Everything is different than what we've been used to the last 3 months, and I would say that every single person in this field would gladly say that they would rather be playing without fans than wait and play with fans, if that means it's a couple weeks sooner. And that's the luxury we have on the PGA Tour. If you have your tour card, you don't have to play if you don't want. So if someone was really that worked up or bothered by that, they didn't have to come.
And finally, couples in India have been tying the knot as weddings are once again allowed to take place following the easing of government restrictions. A couple near New Delhi got married in a shrine with minimal guests who were seen maintaining social distancing. Also in Agra city, a bride was seen getting her makeup done with the artist wearing protective suits and masks. Now, the easing comes despite the number of infections continuing to rise in the world's second most populous country. And with that, we end tonight's bulletin. Thanks for watching. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dubai One TV. We'll be back again tomorrow. But for now, have a great evening.